The bench creaked beneath her as she shifted, trying to stretch her legs without waking the baby in the stroller beside her. Only there was no baby, just a tattered old sketchbook she held like something sacred. Zara, 20, Nigerian, with cocoa brown skin and a heart-shaped face, had made this splintered slab of wood her bed for the past 3 months. The Lagos morning breeze tugged at her tangled braids, frayed and stiff from weeks without a proper wash. Around her, the city buzzed to life, horns blaring, vendors shouting, polished shoes clicking against concrete sidewalks. She remained still, unseen, clutching her sketchbook to her chest. She watched people hurry past, some in flashy cars, others with coffee in hand, laughing into their phones. Couples held hands. Children in school uniforms skipped along beside mothers in fine Ankara wrappers. It was another world, a world that didn't see her. Zara had been invisible since she was 12, when a rainy night car crash stole both her parents. The system placed her in a foster home where affection was rare and punishment was brutal. At 17, she'd run, no money, just a sketchbook and a will to live. Now she survived day by day, drawing portraits for strangers, washing dishes behind kiosks, sketching late into the night under flickering streetlights. Her dream? To own an art studio someday. But dreams were dangerous on the streets. They made you weak. Still, each page she filled was an act of rebellion, a whisper to herself, I'm still here. She didn't expect kindness or miracles. Not anymore. But across the street, someone was watching her. The engine of the sleek black Rolls Royce purred to a stop in front of a quiet upscale cafe in Ikoyi. Damien, 32, Nigerian, dark skin, clean-shaven with a strong jawline and a presence that made heads turn, stepped out with the detached grace of someone used to silence following him. A billionaire tech entrepreneur, his name lived in headlines, but he rarely spoke to strangers, especially not on Lagos sidewalks. As he stood outside taking a call, something unusual caught his eye. Across the street, on a chip bench near a bowly vendor, sat a girl with wild braids, hunched over a sketchbook. She wasn't begging, wasn't even watching people pass. She was lost in what she was drawing, a child cradled in her mother's lap, captured with such precision it looked alive. Damien ended his call, his gaze fixed. Against every instinct, he crossed the street. Are you an artist? He asked, voice low. Zara blinked up, startled. A man like this didn't talk to girls like her. She clutched the sketchbook to her chest. Sometimes. He nodded, then returned minutes later with a hot meal in a paper bag. You look like you haven't eaten. She hesitated. Hunger won. As she ate, he sat beside her, studying the drawing. You're talented. Her voice was tight. Thanks. I don't do handouts. It's not a handout. He slid a business card toward her. If you ever want more than this bench, reach out. After he left, Zara stared at the card. Damien C. Ideal, CEO, Iove Technologies. She turned it over, then glanced at the Rolls Royce disappearing around the corner. With a small scoff, she tore the car in half and dropped in the gutter. Too good to be true, she muttered. The rain poured like a curse, slapping puddles across the cracked pavement as thunder rumbled over Lagos. Zara sat curled beneath a leaking bus stop roof, her sketchbook clutched beneath her blouse. Her left foot throbbed. She had stepped on a rusted nail the day before, and now every move burned. She didn't hear the car at first, only noticed the headlights when the black Rolls Royce slowed beside her. Her eyes narrowed. The door swung open, and Damien stepped out, holding a large umbrella. Rain slicked his dark suit, but he didn't flinch. You're bleeding. Zara turned her head. I'm fine. You're shivering, he said, ignoring her defiance. And that foot looks infected. She pulled her blouse tighter. Why are you here? I was hoping you'd call. He looked down at her, unreadable. You didn't, so I came. Before she could argue again, he bent and lifted her into his arms. She protested, flailed weakly, but he didn't let go. The ride was silent. She tried not to look impressed by the sheer elegance of the mansion. Tall glass doors, chandeliers, floors that glowed. Staff stood frozen as he carried her inside. Damien led her to a warm guest room with cream sheets and gold-framed art. Just for the night, he said gently. That's all. No strings. Zara's fingers gripped the blanket. Her eyes scanned the room like a soldier behind enemy lines. Why are you helping me? She whispered. He paused at the door. Because I can. Zara never intended to stay more than one night. But days slipped into weeks like pages in her sketchbook, each one filled with the faces of people who now surrounded her. Damien's driver yawning by the gate, the chef mid-laugh, even the quiet maid arranging roses in the hallway. And then there was Damien himself, calm, intense, always watching. She found herself sketching him when he wasn't looking, his thoughtful frown during video calls, the quiet way he sipped coffee in the early morning. He didn't flinch when he caught her, only smiled and asked, "Do I really look that serious?" Their worlds were oceans apart, yet they drifted into each other easily. Over midnight bread and Accra, they talked about dreams, Lagos traffic, books, and sometimes about pain. Damien revealed he lost his mother at 15. Zara didn't speak of the foster homes, but her silence told enough. He was drawn to her rawness. No one in his carefully crafted empire spoke with the brutal honesty she did, and she, though she'd never admit it, felt safe in his presence. Still, every comfort came with a sting. Guilt gnawed at her. She wasn't a guest. She was a reminder of the streets, an eyesore in a palace. Each time a staff member bowed or offered her something, she wanted to disappear. One night, while staring at her newest portrait of Damien, she whispered, "This isn't my world." She didn't know he was standing behind her when he softly said, "Then let's create one where you belong." The first time Linda saw Zara walking barefoot to the marble hallway, sketchbook in hand, her smile tightened. She was Damien's PA, elegant, efficient, the gatekeeper to his world. But lately, her calls went unanswered. Meetings were rescheduled. And the reason sat across the dining table in borrowed clothes, sketching like she owned the air. "You don't belong in this world," Linda said one afternoon, cornering Zara in the hallway with a sugar-sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. Zara blinked, unfazed. Neither do snakes in suits, but here you are. Still, the words festered. Later that night, as Zara padded quietly down the hallway to the kitchen, she heard voices. Damien on the phone. His tone was firm. "Postpone the trip. I'm not leaving this week." "But the investors, they can wait." Silence. Zara stood frozen in the shadows, heart racing. Why? Why was he staying for her? The next day, a small door at the end of the west wing caught her attention. It was always locked, but this time the latch had slipped. Curious, she pushed it open. The room was dim and quiet, filled with dust motes dancing in the air. And then she saw them. Sketches. Her sketches. Pinned to boards, framed on walls. Pages she thought were lost. Drawings she made on street corners. Pieces she'd sold for pennies. Even one she'd torn from frustration. Her breath hitched. "How?" Footsteps behind her. Damien's voice was soft. "I found them online. Years ago. They stayed with me. I tried to trace every signature, every street artist rumor, until I found you." Zara turned, stunned. "So all of this, I didn't know I'd find you like that. I just knew I needed to." The air in the small art room felt heavier now. Zara stood beneath her own framed sketches, her breath shallow. Damien leaned against the doorway, his face unreadable. "I first saw your work 3 years ago," he said quietly. "A post on social media. Someone had uploaded your portrait of a shoemaker. The detail, the emotion. I couldn't stop thinking about it." Zara's fingers curled. "And I tried to find you, but there was no name, no contact. Just initials, ZN. I even contacted the page that shared it, but they didn't know either." Her chest tightened as he continued. "I created an art program in Surreal, funded exhibitions anonymously. I thought maybe if I gave enough street artists a platform, you'd show up." Zara's voice cracked. "So this, me being here, wasn't chance. You engineered it." "I didn't know it was you until I saw you outside the cafe," Damien said, stepping closer. "And even then I wasn't sure. I just followed my gut." She pulled back, voice rising. You followed your gut? You watched me sleep on a bench while you waited for some magical moment to swoop in like a savior. His jaw tensed. I wasn't trying to save you. I was trying to meet you. You should have left me alone, she shouted. I thought us was real, but it was just another project to you. Damien looked stunned, his silence louder than words. Zara shoved past him, tears blurring her vision. She ran down the hallway, through the grand doors, and out into the night, leaving behind everything. His mansion, his lies, and the fragile trust now shattered. She didn't look back. The headlines hit like a flood. From street to sheets, homeless girl seduces billionaire, blared one. Another screamed, gold digger or muse? Damien Iadil's mystery woman exposed. Zara's face, drawn from a candid shot outside Damien's gate, was plastered across gossip blogs and national news. She couldn't walk 2 steps without a camera flashing in her face or a mic shoved near her mouth. Did you trap him for his money? Are you pregnant with his child? Were you really homeless, or was it all a stunt? Zara's body trembled as she ducked into alleyways, clutching her sketchbook like a shield. Damien hadn't called. Not a single message. No press release to clear her name. Silence. By sunset, she stood outside the same broken bus stop she had once called home. Her bench was still there, but she no longer belonged even to the streets. People recognized her now, for all the wrong reasons. She sat down, hiding beneath a hoodie. Tears threatened, but she forced them back. This was her reality. Alone. Again. Miles away, inside a dimly lit study, Damien sat in front of his computer, watching the media storm rage. His jaw clenched as he clicked through the stories. He wanted to protect her. He wanted to explain, but not with words, not with statements. Something bigger. Something undeniable. His fingers hovered over a folder on his desktop, labeled Project Z. He opened it. The time had come. Weeks passed in a blur of silence and cold pavement. Zara had returned to selling sketches in alleyways, trying to drown the noise of betrayal and flashing cameras. Then one morning, a man in a black suit approached her with a cream-colored envelope. No sender, he said, and walked away. She opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a simple card. You are invited to the unveiling of Lagos Rising, the Artisan, 6 p.m., Silver Vault Gallery. Her breath caught. That evening, Zara stood at the entrance of the gallery, unsure whether to go in. But curiosity dragged her through the double doors, and the moment stole her breath. Walls lined with her drawings. The girl feeding pigeons, the shoemaker, a child beneath a mango tree, all restored, mounted in elegant frames, glowing under warm lights. A crowd murmured in awe, discussing the mystery street artist as wine glasses clinked. She felt exposed, seen, but for the first time, it wasn't terrifying. A quiet presence approached. Damien stood beside her, dressed in black, eyes softer than she remembered. You deserve the world to see you, he whispered. She turned, heart unraveling. The tears came before she could stop them. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, the door behind them creaked open. A tall woman stepped in, dressed in red silk and diamond earrings. Her voice sliced through the murmurs. Damien, she said coolly, aren't you going to introduce me to your little guest? Zara froze. The woman's heels clicked with sharp precision as she stepped closer, eyes flicking over Zara like she was an insect on glass. I'm a Maka, she said, voice dripping with venom-laced charm. Damien's fiancé. You know? Poor thing. Zara's breath caught. Her world tilted. She turned to Damien, searching his face for a denial, a lie, anything. Damien's jaw tightened. Zara, I was going to tell you. When, she cut in, her voice trembling. Before or after the next exhibition? After the next lie? He reached for her hand, but she pulled back as flashing lights flared from behind. The press, again, murmurs spread across the gallery like wildfire. Is that her? Is this part of the show? Fiancé? What's going on? The room spun. Her drawings on the walls blurred behind tears. She refused to let fall. Amaka smirked, folding her arms. Looks like your muse didn't read the fine print. Zara turned without another word, past the crowd, past a man who made her feel seen, past everything that felt like healing. The cameras followed, hungry for her collapse. But she didn't break, not here, not now. She disappeared into the night. And Damien just stood there, silent, helpless, watching her go. To be continued. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when part 2 drops. You won't want to miss what happens next.